You came here today because something holds you back. You don't need to say what it is. Perhaps it's a lost love, a shattered dream, an identity that no longer serves you. The specific nature of your attachment is less important than the fact that it keeps you bound. Let me share with you 10 truths about detachment that you won't find in any of William James's books. These are observations that William made while studying the human mind, truths that are rarely discussed openly because they are difficult to hear. But you seem ready for them now. 1. Nothing is yours. Everything you think you possess will one day leave you. Look at your hands for a moment. What do they hold? Relationships? Possessions? Achievements? Status? Whatever the answer, I need you to understand a fundamental truth. None of this is really yours. You own nothing in this world, not even your body, which will one day return to the earth. You are merely a temporary guardian of everything that passes through your life. I can imagine your resistance to this idea. It's natural. Our minds cling to the illusion of permanence because the alternative seems frightening. But think, isn't this illusion the cause of your suffering? When something goes away, and everything eventually will, you suffer precisely because you believed it was yours, that it should remain. If you could see life as it really is, a constant flow of temporary experiences, wouldn't you suffer less when the inevitable losses occur? Try this shift in perspective. Instead of saying, "I lost," say, "It was returned." Instead of, "It was mine," say, "It was with me for a time." Notice how this simple change in language alters your relationship with loss. 2. Pain repeats when you feed it. You have an emotional wound that won't heal. I know this because we all do. But let me ask you, how often do you touch that wound? How many times a day do you revisit the painful memory, replay the conversation, imagine what you could have said or done differently? Each time you do this, you're feeding your pain. You're strengthening the neural circuits associated with that suffering. You are, in essence, training your brain to become increasingly efficient at producing that specific pain. I'm not suggesting that you deny or suppress the pain. That would be equally harmful. I'm suggesting something more subtle, that you observe the pain without feeding it with new stories. The next time the painful memory arises, and it will, try simply observing it. Don't elaborate. Don't justify. Don't create alternative scenarios. Just observe what is present, the sensation in the body, the quality of the emotion. And then, gently, redirect your attention to the present moment. Over time, you'll notice something surprising. The pain doesn't completely disappear, but it loses its intensity. Like a plant that has stopped being watered, it gradually withers. 3. Memory lies, especially when you're needy. You trust your memories, don't you? You believe they faithfully represent what happened. This is a dangerous illusion, especially when you are emotionally vulnerable. Your memory is not an objective record of the past. It's a reconstruction influenced by your current emotional state. When you are needy, lonely, or insecure, your mind selectively distorts the past, highlighting moments of connection and joy, while obscuring conflicts and incompatibilities. Think about the relationship you most regret having lost. Now, force yourself to remember the difficult moments, the arguments, the disappointments, the small and large betrayals. They existed, didn't they? But they're not the first memories that arise when longing tightens its grip. This is not a suggestion for you to replace idealization with resentment. It's an invitation to honesty. The past was never as perfect as it seems through the lens of nostalgia, nor as terrible as it seems through the lens of hurt. The next time you catch yourself idealizing something you've lost, ask yourself, am I remembering the complete reality or just the fragments that feed my current neediness? 4. What doesn't change makes you sick. Observe nature around you. Do you see anything that remains absolutely static and yet alive? Impossible. Life is movement, constant transformation. The river that stops flowing becomes a stagnant swamp. The muscle that isn't used atrophies. The same principle applies to your psychological life. When you rigidly cling to an identity, a relationship, a belief, a way of life, you are resisting the natural flow of growth and transformation. And what doesn't flow inevitably becomes sick. Examine your life. Which aspects have remained unchanged for years or decades? What resentments do you still cultivate? What beliefs about yourself have you never questioned? What hopes have become anchors, preventing you from navigating to new horizons? I'm not suggesting change for change's sake. I'm inviting you to question what has remained static for too long in your life. Because stagnation, even when comfortable, is a form of slow death. As William used to tell his students, the greatest sign of success for a teacher is to be able to say, "The students now work as if I did not exist." The same applies to your old self. You must allow it to become obsolete so that your new self can emerge. 5. You don't miss the other person. You miss who you were with them. This truth may be difficult to accept, but I ask you to consider it honestly. When you suffer from the loss of someone, it's not just the person you mourn, but the version of yourself that existed in their presence. Each significant relationship evokes different aspects of your personality. With a lover, perhaps you are more vulnerable, more passionate. With a friend, more authentic, more free. With a mentor, more curious, more disciplined. When the relationship ends, you lose access to that specific version of yourself. And that is a profound loss, perhaps deeper than the loss of the other person. Reflect on the relationship that causes you the most pain to have lost. What were you in that relationship that you can't be in other contexts? What parts of yourself were awakened and now seem dormant? Here is the liberating possibility. These qualities haven't disappeared. They are yours, not the other person's. You can find new contexts, new relationships, or even conscious solitude where these same qualities can flourish again. 6. Detachment is stopping asking the past to save you. Do you live waiting for something from the past to return and solve your current problems? This is a subtle but powerful form of attachment, what I call projective nostalgia. It's not just that you miss the past. You actively hope it will return somehow to save you from the present. If only that person would come back. If only you could get that job back. If only you could return to that place, that moment, that version of your life. This fantasy is comforting, but fundamentally dishonest. The past was never as perfect as your selective memory paints it. And even if it was, you are no longer the same person you were then. Your salvation is not in the past. It's in the present and the future that you can still shape. It's in the courage to create something new, not in the attempt to resurrect something that's already gone. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your mental energy is spent imagining scenarios where the past returns in some form? And what could you create if you invested that same energy in the present? 7. If it's hurting, you're still trying to control. The initial pain of a loss is inevitable and natural. But when that pain persists indefinitely, transforming into chronic suffering, there is usually a hidden component. You are still trying to control the uncontrollable. Closely observe your suffering. Are you trying to control the narrative, "This shouldn't have happened"? Are you trying to control the other person, "He, she should have acted differently"? Are you trying to control time? "I need to get over this faster," or "I'll never get over this"? All these forms of control are attempts to deny reality as it is. And it is this denial, not the original event, that perpetuates your pain. Genuine detachment requires you to release the reins of control, to accept that some things simply are as they are, that some questions don't have satisfactory answers, that some wounds don't heal completely, but become part of who you are. When you stop fighting against reality, the pain doesn't magically disappear, but it changes in quality. It becomes cleaner, clearer, less contaminated by the self-inflicted suffering of resistance. 8. You don't heal by waiting for return. Are you on hold? I'm not just referring to the obvious waiting, like keeping someone's clothes in the closet in case they come back. I'm referring to the more subtle psychological waiting, when you seem to move forward externally, but internally maintain a reserved space, a corner of your life and heart that remains suspended, waiting. This waiting is a form of self-imposed limbo. It's not just that you can't move forward while waiting. It's that the waiting itself becomes a form of attachment, a way to keep the connection alive, even if only in the form of expectation. Ask yourself honestly, is there something or someone you're still waiting for, even if you don't admit it to yourself? Is there any part of your life that's on hold until something from the past returns? True detachment requires you to abandon not just what you've lost, but also the waiting for its return. It's accepting that what's gone is definitively gone, not as a suspended possibility, but as a closed chapter. Only when you stop waiting for the return of what you've lost do you create space for something genuinely new to enter your life. 9. Detachment is not the absence of love. It's self-love in silence. Many resist detachment because they confuse it with emotional coldness or indifference. Let me clarify this misunderstanding. Detachment is not the denial of love, but its most mature expression, one that doesn't demand reciprocity or permanence to validate its existence. You can continue loving what you've lost. Detachment doesn't require you to stop loving. It only requires that you love in a way that doesn't depend on possession, control, or even presence. It's a love that recognizes the fundamental autonomy of the other and the inevitable flow of life. More deeply, detachment is a form of self-love, not the noisy, performative self-love that seeks external validation, but the silent self-love that manifests as respect for your own journey. It's the self-love that says, I will not remain attached to something that's already gone, because I deserve to live fully in the present. It's the self-love that recognizes, my worth doesn't depend on being desired, needed, or remembered by someone else. This silent self-love doesn't need to be proclaimed or validated. It simply is, a constant presence that sustains the process of letting go and moving forward. 10. Everything that holds you one day drowns you. My final observation is perhaps the most urgent. Everything you become excessively attached to, people, identities, beliefs, possessions, memories, eventually transforms from a source of security into a source of suffering. What begins as an anchor of stability often transforms, over time, into a weight that drags you into the depths. What keeps you safe in shallow waters prevents you from swimming in deeper waters. And when the tide inevitably rises, what once anchored you now pulls you down. Examine your life right now. Which anchors have become weights? Which relationships, once nourishing, now drain your energy? Which beliefs, once enlightening, now limit your vision? Which possessions, once valuable, now demand more than they offer? Which aspects of your identity, once sources of pride, now impede your growth? Detachment is not just a response to loss, it's a preventive practice. It's regularly examining what you carry and asking, does this still serve my growth and well-being? Or have I begun to serve it? Because the truth is that everything you refuse to release when the appropriate moment comes will eventually become a prison, and then a tomb. Remember, don't allow yourself to die. Always allow yourself to be reborn. William James didn't offer easy comfort. He offered truth. He saw beyond, and therefore perceived that everything began and ended with the individual. Detachment is neither painless nor simple. It's a path through pain, not around it. What he offered was a brutal honesty about the transitory nature of everything we value and the futility of resisting this transience. Our attempt to freeze moments, people, or versions of ourselves is the root of our deepest suffering. Accepting this truth doesn't eliminate the pain of loss, but it transforms your relationship with it. It allows you to honor what you love precisely by letting it go when the time comes. It allows you to create space for new experiences, new loves, new versions of yourself. Detachment is not the end of love, but its refinement. It's not the end of experience, but its expansion. It's not the end of yourself, but its continuous rebirth. And perhaps this is the final truth he could offer you. Detachment is not an act of renunciation, but of courage. The courage to live fully in a world where nothing remains, where everything we love will eventually transform or leave us, and where our only real choice is how we will navigate these inevitable tides of change. Now, facing this truth, ask yourself the right question. What do you choose to detach from today?